Alright, what's up guys? How we doing? For anybody watching this after, it's pretty simple. It's just gonna be just like last night, just draft and chill, just a live Q&A. It's 6 hours before the draft. Can't wait. I really cannot wait for the draft to get here. Of course, we will have a first round recap after tonight. And for anybody wondering, I'm just sharing the link. That's all I'm doing here. Taryn, first one in. How we doing, man? I think CJ Stroud will go 1 in a shocker. Yeah, that would be extremely shocking to say the least. So, like I said, I'm just sharing the links on YouTube now. So if anybody wants to just get the questions rolling, we'll read and react to the live chat. And I have a bunch of mock drafts pulled up here. I actually found this website where you can actually just have there's a list of all of them. So we're gonna go through some of them, and of course we can do our own mock draft as well. So Vikes moving into the top 5 for AR. I hope that happens. I hope that happens. Obviously, you guys know I'm a Vikings fan. If you didn't, well, now you do. But I really hope that we go into the top 5 to get Anthony Richardson. I mean, you only have one shot to get a player like that, so I really hope we do. Alright guys, let's see what else we have here, and let's see what Nation is saying. Let's see what Nation is saying here. Again, just sharing the link for the YouTube, that's all we're doing here. Alright, let's see. Nation says, I'm pretty shocked how many people are saying Houston isn't taking a quarterback at 2. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. Right now, at this point, I think the mock draft is pretty simple. I think it's going to be 1, Bryce Young, and I think it's going to be 2, I think it's going to be Will Anderson. So as crazy as that's going to sound, I mean, guys, that's kind of where we are in the draft process. I mean, it's so crazy to think about that. I want to actually look at some of these mocks here. I'm going to look at Dane Brugler's from The Athletic. I really respect Dane's work. I think he's really good at what he does. And Dane has, 1, Bryce Young, 2, Will Anderson. Eli says it's a complete shot in the dark, but I would bet anything I have that Lamar Jackson gets traded and the Ravens snag a quarterback. See, I personally don't see that happening. I would be very surprised if that's the case. I think there's too many complications within that at this point. I do want to see who. Always got to see who people have my team taking. So we have Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnston off the boards. Who picks later? I always like checking the back half of the first round. But no, I'd be very surprised if Lamar gets traded, and I think that would have already happened, because we're talking about a situation that's extremely complex, because Lamar needs a contract, and anybody that would have, I think of anybody that, like, if they already wanted to, they would have already done that. I don't think there's going to be any surprises, like with Lamar specifically on draft night. There's, of course, going to be a shit ton of surprises all throughout draft night, and there's honestly no pick that at this point that I think would surprise me. I mean, aside from like something like the Steelers drafting a quarterback, considering they took Kenny last year, but like that's not realistic. You know what I mean? So there's really nothing that could surprise me in the draft tonight. But I do want to know, or at least I do want to hear what some of your guys' hot takes are right now. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of a top 10 right now, and I think it's the draft starts at 2, and I really do think Will Anderson would be the pick at the moment. And a late rise that a lot of people that just, it just kind of came up in the past like day or two, is Paris Johnson going number 3 to the Cardinals. I'm going to be so dissatisfied if the Vikings trade down. I mean, I get it. I want to see. All right, so some of these are updated. One of these, I'm just looking at the dates here. Are all of these like updated today? I just want to. All right, let me look at the Draft Network here. I do want to take a look at the Draft Network and see what we have here. Will Anderson at 3. Here's one. Paris Johnson at 3. I'm telling you guys, that's what the late rumor is. And Anthony Richardson to Seattle at 5 has been another one. So the Paris Johnson one's very interesting, just because the Cardinals have so many holes, and I'm a little surprised that they would take Paris Johnson at 3. And that's the route that they would opt to go if they really can't trade back. I thought they would go premier defender, considering they brought in Jonathan Gannon as the team's head coach this offseason. Defensive-minded guy, I thought they would take a premier defender, but it's looking like Paris Johnson is going to be the pick if Arizona stays there, which is a huge not wild card, but it's just a huge just change in terms of how he thought even as little as 48 hours ago. And then Hooker in the 20s, I could see it. Will Mayo Levis, yeah, that's disgusting. I'm not an advocate for putting coffee or putting mayonnaise in my coffee. That is horrid. Let's see here. I'm an Arizona fan. I want Paris Johnson to pick 3. It's crazy, man. There's a good chance that happens. I just want to see Minnesota get aggressive. Me too. And I think I'm going to discuss this a little bit more on Patreon, a little more in depth. But basically what the concept is going to be is, we have half a decade now of Kirk Cousins. How much longer do we need? We didn't extend Kirk for a reason. And one thing that's going to be really, really interesting about Kirk this weekend is Kirk is on the desk or he's not on the desk, but he's helping out with coverage for Bleacher Report for the draft. So, what is Kirk's live reaction going to be if we trade up to number 3 or number 6 or number 7, wherever? The point, I was just throwing numbers out aside from 3, but the point is, what if we trade up and draft Kirk's replacement? You're going to see his live reaction on air. So that's very interesting. No Way Stroud goes at 11. Yeah, I don't see that one either. I just clicked the mock draft because I saw the order that I think 1, 2, 3 is. I think this is going to be the order. And then we kind of just kept going. And there's the CJ Stroud part. I'm with you. And I also, another thing that came out today, Bijan's not going to go to the Bucs. I think the Bucs are actually going to kind of draft tackle here. How's the day been? What's up? I'm at school. Same, bro. I'm in class. The day's been good. I woke up early this morning. All the work was done pre-draft. I didn't want to release a mock draft on the day of the draft. I released my final one a couple days ago. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I didn't want to go through a whole entire video and that whole process of making a mock draft. But I'd rather go live Q&A and discuss with you guys, kind of like we are now here. Let's see here. Would the Eagles have to give up, what would the Eagles have to give up to move up to 5, 10, 30, and 92? I don't think it would take both first-round picks for Philly. I actually have no idea what it would take. I just don't think it would take both. Let's see. Richardson would fall into a perfect situation with the Vikings, sit behind Kirk for a year or two if we re-sign Kirk for one more, and have KOC help prepare him. Needs to happen. So, Justin, I am right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. Somebody asked, what do I think the Bears are going to do at 9? And I'll get more into the Vikings thing in a minute. No, I think the Bears, it's going to be between Jalen Carter and Paris Johnson. I mean, that's, of course, assuming Paris gets by. But it'll be between Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith is who I think for the Bears. But, yeah, the Viking situation, I don't think there's a more perfect opportunity for Anthony Richardson to come in and learn behind Kirk for at least a year. Anthony Richardson obviously needs the time to develop. And there's not going to be a lot of, at least better veteran quarterbacks for Anthony to come in and learn behind. Kirk's going to be 35 in August. So you give Anthony Richardson, a player who's going to be 21 next month, a year to sit behind Kirk and learn. And, even for Anthony early on, what a lot of people aren't discussing, at least one thing that I haven't seen as much in in the pre-draft process and everything, and what would be a benefit for Anthony in year 1 is if the Vikings draft him, you get inside the red zone, inside the 10-yard line, he is a weapon better than anything you've had over the past 5 years. You bring him in, he can do quite literally anything, and he's going to be in his first year with whoever, not just the Vikings, but with whoever. He can have, at minimum, a Taysom Hill on steroids role just inside the red zone. And, you can benefit a lot from Anthony Richardson as a rookie, just having him, like we said, in that role where, your red zone touchdown percentages, in theory, should only go up just by having Anthony Richardson because, you want to run power right up the gut. All right, let's do it. You want to run a play-action play where, it's a Mahomes-type play where he runs around for 6 or 7 seconds and then makes some crazy throw. Okay, you can do it. There's also just the threat of him to begin with on the field. So Anthony Richardson is a player I would have no problem, and I really hope my team trades up to get him. But let's look at the chat here. What's up? How we doing? Let's see here. What's up, man? Love your content. Let's see here. What is Zeiss? I don't even know what Zeisel's saying here. Let's see here. Panthers better draft a linebacker, edge, and receiver. Well, that's going to be tomorrow's pick. They're definitely not going to draft that tonight. Let's see. What's up? Ball with the wave. Do the Broncos have a chance to acquire a meaningful player? Absolutely, 100%. Their first pick is at 67, and they have back-to-back picks with 67 and 68 in the third round. They 100% have a chance to draft not just one, but multiple meaningful players. And basically the draft here, guys, it's, you have like the couple blue chip players. You have Jalen Carter, you have Bijan Robinson, Bryce Young, and then there's a little bit of a fall off. But there's, where really this draft excels is, that early second round, the early third round, the middle of the third round, where there's just a bunch of depth guys. And, you're going to hear it a lot tonight. You'll even probably hear it from me on the round one recap that will be out after the first round tonight. You're going to hear that, I don't love this pick at pick, 19, 20, 21, but I would have loved it at pick, 35, just because, they might not have that high ceiling, but that floor is going to be there. So the Broncos definitely have a chance to draft not just one, but multiple meaningful players here. So I do want to, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of go back into this mock draft here a little bit. Yeah, Paris Johnson at 3. That's where it's leaning right now, which is kind of crazy here. Is Tyree Wilson that good for the Cardinals to pick at 3? I think he is. But it's looking like they're going to lean Paris Johnson. And I get it because they're going into the draft with the mindset of, we just need to acquire better talent. It really doesn't matter where. And whether it's Kyler Murray, who will return at some point next year. He's going to miss a lot of 2023, but, we need to protect our quarterback. So I don't hate Paris Johnson at 3. It's just, it's unusual compared to what we've had the whole draft process. I don't hate it, but the Cardinals just need to acquire good football players. You probably already talked about it, but what do you think about the Cardinals' new uniforms? I really didn't talk about it, but I like them. I know a lot of people were like, it's bland, but really at this point, what can you do? I'm gonna pull them up here. Let me get these babies up so we can take a look. But no, the thing is I didn't mind them. I really did not mind the Cardinals uniforms. I thought they were good. And there was also like a silver trim with the Cardinals uniforms that I really actually liked within the new Cardinals uniform. So I am going to quickly pull them up here. No, I liked them, and the silver trim I thought was nice. The thing is here they are here, guys. This should pull them up. Let's go ahead. Hold on. I'm pulling this up here. Let's go back to the chat. Make sure. There we go. All right. Yeah, no. So here's the Cardinals new uniforms. So I like them personally. And like I said, you can see the silver trim right here with this. And I like them. I wasn't a big fan of Arizona across the chest, but personally I liked them. Anthony Richardson, number 1, no chance. What's your opinion on Lucas Van Ness in the 20s? If he's there, go for it. That's regarding for anybody, by the way. And I think, if CJ Stroud is there for the Colts, I definitely think they have to go CJ Stroud here. I want to see what the Lions will do. I know no one is talking about them, but it'll be very interesting what they do. So personally, I try to talk about the Lions quite a bit, and I actually did a mock draft the other day in terms of what I would do for the Lions. It's on the Patreon if you want to go check that out. But no, I feel like I talk about the Lions quite a bit. I think they're doing everything right in terms of their rebuilding, and I think they're going to be a double-digit win team this year. And I know no one gives a shit about anybody's, the bets that they place in the future, but what I will say regarding the Lions, I placed a future bet for them to win the NFC North. So I think their future is as bright as they want it to be. Thoughts on Banks to the Giants? I don't think he's gonna get there. I don't think there's any chance that Deontay Banks gets there. Let's see here. What's with the hype behind Richardson? I legitimately don't get the hype. Sure, he won the combine, but he couldn't even beat Kyle Trask for the starting job. He also has serious character concerns. Okay, so then Ty clarified it and said, from what I've heard. So I have not heard anything regarding Anthony Richardson's character concerns. I've heard all he does is work his tail off, and I've heard that he is, one of the hardest workers in the room. The hype behind Richardson is, it's pretty simple. He's 6'4", 245. The accuracy is not as big of a concern as you would think. I would like to I'd like to do a video solely on Anthony Richardson, and I still might on Patreon, but with the SEC in terms of what they've done with all 22 recently, they don't want anybody showing any footage of their their SEC games. It's really, really annoying. But no, the accuracy is not a big concern. And of course, Anthony being the athlete he is, that's pretty self-explanatory. But no, he's 20 years old. The sky is quite literally as high as you can project for anybody. Will he get to that ceiling is, of course, something else. But no, I don't think the accuracy in terms of the ball placement is anywhere close to as big of a deal as people like to make it out to be. All right, let's keep it going here. Yeah, this is the first I've heard about character concerns. Yeah, I didn't get that one. Thoughts on Commanders taking a quarterback? No, they're saying they're set with Howell, but still. So, Patrick, I want them to take a quarterback, but it's there. Yeah, like you said, they're in on Howell, which I really don't get. I don't understand putting all the eggs in one basket for Sam Howell. Like, okay, we watched the guy play one game. Is this, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is a little bit of a throwback, especially because I know some people said that they're like in class watching this, but is the Sam Howell, like the one game, is this not like similar to Matt Flynn? Like, oh, we're just going to bank one game solely and we're just going to bet our future on this? I don't get it, especially if a quarterback starts to drop. Even if it's whoever your fourth-ranked quarterback is, I don't understand the Commanders' process here. But that's just me. Thoughts on Houston taking JSN with the 12th pick? Hey, I'm all for getting better football players, and that would be the definition of getting a better football player. So if he's there and they want to go for it, then go for it. But supposedly the rumor is right now with the Texans is they're supposedly going to they're going to draft Will Anderson at 2, and then when it gets to 7 or 8, they're going to try and trade back up. That's supposedly what the rumor is with the Texans right now. So we'll see how that plays out tonight. And of course, by the way, for anybody that's watching the live right now, I will say there will be a video day one reactions as soon as the draft ends tonight. So what I'm going to try to do is start to record around pick 29 or pick 30 because it takes like 20 minutes to process in terms of getting up to YouTube and everything. So then I'll probably just have like a typed out response of picks 31 and 32 because I want that video up as soon as the draft ends tonight. But it'll be out, like I said, pretty close to when the draft ends, so I can't wait to see you guys then. Who do you think is better, Stroud or Young? Bryce Young. I thought all throughout the whole process that Bryce Young was the quarterback one. He's been my QB one, and I released a video maybe 3 weeks ago. Bryce Young is my QB one. He's been the whole time. Do I still think Detroit will be good with Jamison Williams out? I do. Yes, I don't think that's... I mean, it's obviously a deal for 6 games, but I don't think it's... we got to go receiver in round 1 now, especially at number 6 overall, and, completely overreact because we have a guy out 6 games because he gambled inside the facility. This isn't, Jamison didn't, I think I got to word this. Jamison didn't break a leg and he's going to try and rush back to be ready for the team. Like, he's physically fine. So, yeah, I think they're going to be all right. Let's go here. Is Bryce a lock at 1? I would say yes, personally, at this point. Let's see here. Salty Wings and Abs fan, he's been asking some good questions here. That was actually his question that I asked that. Let's see here. I like going with Howell. If he hits, he hits. If he doesn't, you put yourself in position for Caleb Williams or Drake May. So, guys, I got to be honest. I wish that I could, hold on. Can I pin this message here? I kind of want to, I'm going to try and pin this and see what happens here. If this comes up on the screen, that would actually make it a lot easier so you guys can see what I'm, kind of saying. But anyway, so this guy said, Bark said, I like going with Howell if he hits, and you put yourself in a position for Caleb Williams or Drake May. And I disagree. I understand where you're coming from with that, but I'm from Maryland and I pay attention to the Commanders quite a bit. And what I would say regarding that is I think the Commanders roster is entirely too talented for them to be able to be in that position to begin with. So even if, even if Sam Howell plays bad next year, I still think they're going to stumble to 6 or 7 wins. I mean, their defensive line is one of the best in football. They have a very underrated trio with, of course, Terry McLaurin, last year's first round pick in Jahan Dotson, and then Curtis Samuel. I think they're a pretty underrated team. Now they're not going to, win 13 or 14 games, but they're going to win more games than what's going to be required for Caleb or Drake May next year. So the Commanders just they baffle me. They baffle me. Let's see. Who do I think is going to tank for QBs next year? Arizona. I don't think Kyler will be a Cardinal 1 year from now. By the way, I do have Ian Rappaport's and, of course, Schefter's notifications on. I'm just making sure that nothing is happening. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. All right. Who is the safest quarterback in the draft? This is a kind of a cop-out answer. Bryce Young is the safest quarterback in the draft. What are the chances of the Raiders trading up for a quarterback? I would honestly say pretty low, just because their roster is not good. Like, their roster is not... They're more than just a quarterback away. You know, you're in that division that's one of the best divisions in football. You have the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs in your division. You are not... Even if they traded up to get Bryce Young, you're not Bryce Young away from beating the Chiefs and, you know, consistently and then going to the playoffs type thing. So I would say low, but if the quarterback that they like is still there at 7 is there, I think they draft him. I think he falls into their laps. They take him 100%. All right. Let's keep it rolling here. Will Lamar be traded? No. No, he will not be traded. We're beyond past that. And the reason for that is because it goes into a whole thing of the Ravens have a chance to match, and they have a chance to, you know, if somebody like wants to trade tonight and give up one of the picks, they have like it's like a week to match the offer sheet, and Baltimore could just be like, yeah, we're just going to take some time over the weekend, and then the first round picks, and then their whole draft could be planned out by having Lamar, and then it turns out the Ravens match that, and then you spend a whole draft trying to plan around Lamar. Lamar's bottom line, Lamar is not getting traded. I hope that kind of clarified that. I don't know if I did a great job explaining, but Lamar is not going to get traded tonight. Will Budda Baker get traded tonight? I don't think so. I think he'll be traded tomorrow because the Cardinals need picks, man. So I think it's tomorrow. I think there's actually going to be a lot of players traded tomorrow, like a lot. Do I think Cook will actually be traded? Yes, I do. I think we're in the final 48 hours of Dalvin Cook being a Viking. So I truly believe that. Witherspoon to the Lions, absolutely, yes, sir. What do I think? What do I think about the Browns' future? I don't think it's very bright, to be completely honest. I mean, we're banking on a quarterback that, from a football standpoint, let's kind of just go ahead and add that part in there. You're banking on a player that did not play well at the end of last year. And, of course, he had to shake the rust off. But now you have all that money attached to him, and they even restructured to push the money further down the road, which only gives him more money per year. So you're kind of limiting yourself from that standpoint, from a cap standpoint with Deshaun. So I don't like the Browns' future at all. What are your thoughts on Brian Brzee, the number 2 defensive lineman? I don't want to skip anybody here, so let's go ahead and here. I got to be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of Brzee on tape. Now, as discussed last night, Brzee had one of the worst things that could have happened to him from a personal standpoint. So football is, of course, second behind family, like, to begin with. I mean, minimum number 2 football is. So what Brian happened was his younger sister passed away from brain cancer last September, and that's an unspeakable tragedy that happened to him personally. So Brian, he wasn't worried about there like, oh man, let me go take care of Wake Forest this week. And he didn't give a shit about that. Understandably so, right? So Brian is a very, very tricky prospect. If you want to have him defensive lineman number 2, go for it. But I like this order here with Kalijah at 1 and then Mazi, and of course, Jalen's already off the board, of course. So let me backtrack a little bit. I like Jalen, and then I like Kalijah, and then I like Mazi, and then I like Brian right below that. So, yeah, and then I think he's pretty close to Keanu Benton. So, I think he's defensive line 4 for me, to answer that here. Who gets Bijan? Let's actually advance a little bit in the mock here. And in this scenario for the Raiders, I really think they would go Anthony Richardson. Now, we discussed the Raiders. I don't think they would trade up for a quarterback, but I do think if a quarterback falls into their laps, they would gladly take him. Cam Newton back to the league. I saw this comment earlier. No, I think Cam's days are kind of over. We're a couple years beyond that now. I don't think there's any chance Cam comes back. Maybe in a spot start here or there as a backup, but I think Cam's done. Will Clyde be a Chief tomorrow? I think so, just because I don't think there would be any return for Clyde. Who's picking up the phone and saying, hey, Veach, we want to give up a 5th or a 6th round pick for Clyde on an expiring contract when you can get a better running back than Clyde in the draft. So I think Clyde's going to be a Chief kind of by default. The only way that I think he would get traded would be if somebody was like, hey, here's... Hold on, let me think of how this... We would be getting Clyde and a 7th for a 6th. That's the only way. So, and I doubt there's that much of a market for Clyde, like I said, to begin with. Like, he has 1 year left on his contract, so I don't think there's any market for him at all. Who will no longer be on the current team first, Belichick or Pete Carroll? I'd probably say Belichick, and Belichick kind of holds back the Patriots a little bit at this point because I think they're kind of like on this legacy run with Belichick because he's so close to getting to the all-time wins. And Bill Belichick, the GM, is not Bill Belichick, the coach. And if you look at really any of their past drafts, that kind of backs that up. Sony Michel was a first-round pick 1 year. Isaiah Wynn was a first-round pick 1 year. That was back in 2018. N'Keal Harry was a first-round pick. So Bill is not that good of a GM. And, if you go... at least in the past couple years in the first round of the draft. If you look at a couple of those picks later, Nick Chubb was taken 3 or 4 picks after Sony Michel. And in the second round of the 2019 draft, DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown were both taken. So I think Bill Belichick will go before Pete does, personally. Gerard Mayo will become the next Pats coach. I'd be all for that. I can't wait to watch Mickey Loomis trade up for a mystery fullback that is not needed. That would be hilarious. And the Mickey Loomis, of trades, man, we're going up to get our guy. We traded a future one. Everybody, let's go. We got our guy. Thinking it's Lamar Jackson, and they trade up to get Marcus Davenport, a project pass rusher who 5 years later is no longer on the team. That was, at the time, everybody was like, oh, Lamar, it's going to be the 5th quarterback in the top 15 picks, but it was for a developmental pass rusher. So that's kind of funny to me, the way that all worked out. Let's see here. I hope the Giants trade up to 18 for Addison. I hope they get Daniel Jones a weapon tonight regardless, Sean. I really hope they do. Does Karlaftis have a bright future? Yes. And I think the Chiefs will add a finesse pass rusher either tonight or on day 2. So either tonight or tomorrow, they're going to add a finesse pass rusher. It's going to be a first or second round pick, and I really, really hope they get B.J. Ojulari. And if they had B.J. Ojulari with Karlaftis, you have your finesse rusher, your power rusher, then of course you have Chris Jones in the middle. I've talked about this so many times that it's just like, oh, I just want it to happen for the Chiefs. So, Karlaftis, yes, he has a bright future. He had 6 sacks in his rookie year. He was top 3 in rookies in pressures, actually top 2 behind only Aiden Hutchinson of the Lions. So I'm actually going to go to premium. Hold on. Let me pull up another PFF tab and then kind of just show you guys. No, I do like George Karlaftis' future quite a bit here. So I want to go back to the comments here in a minute. I am pulling up currently the edge rushing stats from PFF last year. So let's go regular season only. And here they are. So I'm going to go ahead and pull them up. And there we go. We have Aiden Hutchinson finished first. George Karlaftis was second. So, yeah, I do think George Karlaftis definitely has a bright future here. Is John Michael Schmitz comparable to Creed Humphrey or Tyler Linderbaum as a prospect? He's not on that level, no. He's a good prospect, but I don't think he's on that level personally. I want the Cardinals to trade back up for JSN since we're trading D-Hop. So I got to be honest, I want the Cardinals just to draft good football players. That's it, just good football players. If JSN falls a little bit, sure. I don't think JSN is going to. I don't think he's going to fall, but I'd be all for the Cardinals getting good football players. Could the Vikings go up and get a quarterback like Richardson or Levis? 100% yes. Let's actually see who wants to trade here. The Texans want to trade up. So I could see the Texans doing a scenario like this. Let's go ahead and trade up here. And I could see the Texans doing a scenario like this where they go up from pick 12 to pick 8 to get Will Levis. Anthony Richardson was taken at 7. So he wouldn't be available in that scenario, but I could very much see the Texans doing that. Hyatt would be another Kadarius Toney if he goes to the Giants. I don't know if that's a direct comparison, if that's a good direct comparison. I get where you're coming from in terms of the on-field production. I wouldn't want the Giants to get Jalen Hyatt. I don't think that's the best fit. I'm a big fan of Jalen Hyatt going to the Chargers. That's kind of where, that's where I want Jalen Hyatt to go here. Let's look at some of these other questions. New Orleans did the same thing last year, trading away the 2023 first for Penning. They could have had Paris or someone this year at 10. Yeah, that was a bad trade. I didn't like the Saints trade with the Eagles for that at all. Where do I think Bijan lands tonight? All right, let's go ahead and answer that question. There we go. Hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully that answers your question there, Nick. I think he's going to go to Philly. And I really think Philly should go with the Bijan route. And I think they should very much just say, look, we're going to run the ball down your throat, and we're going to be better than you. And good luck trying to stop us. And that's it. That is very much it. And I really think that's how they should go about this. Let's see here. I think people are heavily overrated the cognition test and heavily underrating Stroud. He's easily tied with Young as quarterback 1. So I agree with you on the heavily overrating the S2 test. I don't think he's quite in the level of Bryce Young. I think he's a little below. But that whole thing is, I feel bad for CJ in terms of just how his draft process has gone. And I was listening to a podcast today, and it made a lot of sense, where they were kind of bringing up the point that Will Levis has been used as a pawn. So it's like, all right, like CJ Stroud's, the S2 test, well, he scored so poorly. Will Levis scored like a 97%, but CJ scored an 18%. So Will Levis is, he's going to be a better quarterback at the next level. Will Levis didn't have the weapons CJ did, yet he was still making plays, and he was making these crazy throws at times. And it's kind of like, all right, let's hype Will Levis up to hope CJ falls a little bit so that we can get him. Who that is, we don't know. But I kind of agree with the point that was being made of Will Levis has been used as a pawn. So that's kind of the point of that. I feel like some teams will set up their tank for the 2024 quarterbacks tonight. I don't feel that way, and here's kind of why. The thing is, by the way, quickly, flex, where do I think Bijan will go? 10 to the Eagles, right here. Right here to the birds. To go back to that 2024 tank, the thing is a lot of GMs don't have the job security to do that, and that's another reason why there's a lot of belief that the Texans will draft a quarterback, like they'll trade back up to draft a quarterback, because the GM Nick Caserio does not have the job security. He's getting a little, the seat's getting a little warm for Nick Caserio, right? And you have to be able to sell tickets to bring in revenue, which of course the owner cares about most. And if you walk out of the first round, if you're the Texans, with Will Anderson and with for discussions matter, we'll say Nolan Smith as an edge. Not both. Sorry, Will Anderson and a corner, Christian Gonzalez. You walk out with those two guys, right? Neither of those guys are going to sell tickets the way any quarterback would. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is, because the fan base is going to sell themselves that, hey, that quarterback is our guy for the future. So I don't really think there's any tank jobs going on. And I think an underrated one, if somebody was trying to tank, I think an underrated one would be Tampa with Jason Light, general manager Jason Light. But I don't think he's going to have the security to be able to say, we're going to go into this year, we're going to take an offensive tackle, which is not going to be that high of an impact position, at pick 19 for the Bucs in that case. And I'm going to actually look at some of these other mocks. What a day. Bijan's not going there. No. But the Bucs have the best chance, I think, to, aside from the Cardinals, to really tank, and I don't think they have the job security. And everybody knows that the Cardinals their situation this year is absolutely horrible. Everyone knows that. So I don't really think teams can afford to do that. Nolan probably getting taken in the mid-first round. I'm glad you clarified. No, I agree. He's definitely going to be a mid-first round pick at worst. Thanks for answering the 2024 tank question so in depth. Love the content. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, no doubt. No problem, brother. Appreciate the support, Caleb. Everyone knows Bijan will go to Atlanta. See, I'm not an advocate for Bijan Robinson going to Atlanta. I'm really not. And I understand the thought process, by the way. By the way, I have no idea where Tennessee would go if this is how it played out, because both offensive linemen are off the board and all four quarterbacks are gone. So do we kind of just take Jackson Smith-Njigba and hope? I think that's the route they would go, but who knows at that point. And also the thing with the Falcons, right? Somebody brought up the Bijan with the Falcons. I could understand it with top 10 picks on Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and then Bijan, and basically say, all right, Desmond or Taylor Heineke, good luck. You have all the help you need, but they have Tyler Algier. They spent a 5th round pick on last year who had over 1,000 yards as a rookie. I can't imagine saying like, all right, we have 1,000-yard rusher, and it's not like Tyler Algier's like 27 years old where he's, the cliff is going to, like he's just going from, a 4.5, 5 yards a carry guy to like basically what Zeke did in the back half of last year. So I can't imagine the Falcons doing that. If they do, I'm not going to criticize the Bijan pick too much because of how talented of a player he is, but I have a hard time believing that's the route the Falcons want to go. And in this scenario, by the way, I think they would take Nolan Smith if this is how the board played out for them. Let's see here. As an Eagles fan, I would be so excited to get Bijan. Greetings from Europe. Thanks for all the videos. I mean, that's crazy, man. Like, Europe, I mean, let me know what part of Europe, man. That's cool as shit. Appreciate the support. Did Zeke get signed yet? No, I really think Zeke is going to, I think he's just going to, like, he's done. Who's going to want to sign him? Like as crazy as that sounds, right? But who is going to want to bring in Zeke and say, yep, this is a player that we think is going to be better than whoever? If you go down the running back rankings, right, just in the draft, I wouldn't take Zeke over really any of these guys. I mean, we'll go from like Kenny McIntosh and up, but like, you're talking a 6th round pick and up. How many running backs is this year? This is 1, 2, I'm not going to count them all, but this is double-digit running backs here that I would take above Zeke, and that's not even including teams like the 49ers who probably aren't going to take one. These, the Browns who aren't going to take one, basically who have Christian McCaffrey and Nick Chubb and that are already set. So there's a chance that Zeke is kind of done. And by the way, the same thing, let me just confirm this real quick. I'm just looking up a player here because I think the same thing could apply to him. Yeah, Leonard Fournette, the same thing could apply to Leonard Fournette as well, who had unprecedented hype coming out of LSU back in 2017. The careers for these guys are just so short, and the wear and tear it takes on the body, it's so damn short. All right, let's go here. Zeke should just convert to center. Don't think so. Shout out from the UK. Love the content. Appreciate it, Dave. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day. So I've seen a couple people that are like commenting from Europe. Are you guys like? I'm curious for anybody that's in Europe right now watching this. Do you guys like stay up till like 2 a.m., like 2 to like 6 a.m. to watch, or do you just like DVR it, or do you just wake up the next day? Please let me know how that goes, because I actually always wonder. And I know that NFL Sundays, especially, like, you get down to the late games, it's got to be like, ugh, like, I just want to go to bed. So let me know how that works. Russ asks, do you think Detroit should take Carter at 6 if they can? So personally, I do. I think it would be very unlike kind of what the Lions have done throughout the Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes era so far. But I personally think they should. But that's just me. Somebody, by the way, this is a comment from like 10 or 15 minutes ago. I saw it earlier. It was a Jets question. Okay, so somebody said wake up the next day. That was a Europe-related question. Usually I watch the draft live, but this year I didn't get off work, so I will watch the first round now live. Gotcha. Well, I'll have the recap out for you in the first round after, so that'll be out tonight. So anyway, somebody asked about the Jets and asked if I think they're going to trade back, and I think there is 0% chance the Jets trade back from pick 15. They need an offensive tackle. I don't want to say in the worst way, because you could trot out Dwayne Brown at left tackle at 38 years old and hope that he holds up and hope that Mekhi Becton comes back. But, we're entering year 4 with Mekhi, and he hasn't played all but one game in 2 of those seasons. So, I know a lot of Jets fans hate the Broderick Jones mock, but it's kind of where we are with the Jets at this point. All right, let's see here. Watch the games live. Having a watch party with some friends starting at 2 a.m. Greetings from Germany. Yeah, appreciate the support, guys. That's insane, man. Ever think that the Eagles probably only walk away with only making one first-round pick, Ryan? Yes, that is 100% a possibility. And Ryan, that's a great point that you brought up here. Because for any of these teams, especially Buffalo, you could toss New Orleans in there. But Buffalo, New Orleans, Dallas, because and I'm not going to include Cincinnati in that because I think they stay and take a tight end. I really do at pick 28 or somewhere in the trenches for Cincinnati. But this 26, 27, 29, and 30 area, maybe even Kansas City as well, depending how the board plays out. The talent gap between like the top 10 picks and then, between like 15 and 50 is a lot. So, like you're looking at pick 10 and then pick 17. There's a gap there but the gap between 17 and 40 isn't as substantial as the gap between like pick 9 or 10 and then 17. So yes, for anybody that wants to trade up from the early part of the second round, I could very easily see the Eagles only making one pick tonight. I could very easily see that happening. Washington might trade Chase Young later on. So personally, I don't think they will. I think they're very much going to be like, all right, Chase, like, here's 2023, bet on yourself, big guy, and if you have a 12-plus sack year like we know you can, because I still think Chase Young is a very, very talented football player, and the tape shows that he has the flashes, and I love Chase Young, and I want him to succeed. I think they would bring him back and be like, all right, like, Chase, like, you bet on yourself, congratulations, it hit, and we're going to pay you now. So I don't think Chase Young gets traded unless there is just an astronomical trade offer that nobody sees coming, which I would be very surprised if somebody gives up a lot for Chase Young at this point based on everything. I still think the potential is there, and I hope that everything works out for Chase Young, but I'd be very surprised if somebody wanted to give up, like a future one for Chase Young. It's kind of like the Lamar situation. I don't see any scenario where he's not a Commander, Lamar Raven, in that situation, of course, because they're staying with their team. All right, let's keep going here. Give Chase a healthy year. He'll be one of the best DNs in the league. I hope so. I like Chase Young a lot. I like him a lot. Maybe Washington is betting on the franchise tag instead of the fifth-year option. If he plays well, that's a possibility too. That is 100% a possibility. My Bengals will trade you Jonah Williams for Chase Young straight up. Hey, man, I'm a Vikings fan. I would trade guard Ed Ingram for Chase Young in a heartbeat. Ed only played. He's entering his second year, so you get 3 more years of Ed on his rookie deal. I'd trade for him in a heartbeat. Somebody asked about DeAndre Hopkins. Does he get moved tonight? Not tonight. No, not tonight. I think he'll be moved tomorrow night. Let's keep going with the pick here. By the way, who do we think the Patriots would take? Personally, I think it'd be Broderick Jones. That's where I think. Yeah, somebody asked why the Dolphins don't have a first-round pick, because they were tampering. They got caught tampering, so that's why. And that's a big deal that they don't have a first-round pick either. Supposedly, they want to try and trade up to get Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's a huge, huge thing. Bring Chase Young home to Ohio to play with Burrow. I would love that for Chase Young. You'd have Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, and Chase. In that conference, you need pass rush. So I would not mind that at all. Hopkins is not worth a first. I agree, and that's why I think that he will. I think he'll be traded tomorrow. What did they tamper with, like a player? So somebody said because of Tom Brady's yacht trip, basically the Dolphins were like, "Hey Tom, like while he was still with the Patriots." This is something where like I saw it happen. I don't know I didn't pay attention to the full details. Basically, I got the gist of it. They were trying to get Tom Brady to come play in Miami with Sean Payton. That's what you need to know. They were trying to get Tom to play with Sean Payton as the coach, and they were trying to get them to go to Miami. That's the summary of it. So, somebody asked about Christian Watson earlier, and I apologize. Christian Watson outside if JSN lands there. Yes, Lorenzo, you may have asked about Christian Watson and JSN earlier, and I would like the Packers to draft JSN if he's there. Yes. I don't see the Packers drafting a receiver in the first round. Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows what the Packers are going to do? I had him taking Darnell Wright in this mock. It would be kind of with David Bakhtiari in mind, but the replacement of David Bakhtiari. But what do I think Budda Baker's trade value is? I'd probably say a third round. That's tough. I've seen some people mock like a early second round pick. I don't think it's that high. Probably late 2, early 3. I think is what it would be. But you also. Pretty sure we have the contract to deal with too, so it's up in the air. I do think DeAndre will get moved before Budda personally. Could I see the Texans trading for Lamar? Short answer, no. A little bit of a more in-depth answer, it's contract related, and it's not like the contract between the Texans and Lamar is not going to get worked out between now and the draft, which is when it would have to be. Like Nick Caserio is, I guess I technically can't say this, but I don't think Nick Caserio is on the phone with Lamar right now saying, "Hey, Lamar, we want to give up pick 12 and a 2024 first So what do you say we work this out right now over the phone? I can't say for sure that Nick is not doing that, but I don't think that's happening. So that's a little bit of a longer answer there. All right, I love how the Patriots are always a team that should draft offense in the first round when they just go with a defensive player like Brian Branch because he is an Alabama guy. Brian Branch on the Patriots is something that I would like. I don't think they necessarily need it with Jack Jones there, but you really couldn't complain about a player that's more than likely going to play at or near a Pro Bowl level in what Branch will play at the next level. I think Brian Branch is a very, very safe prospect. I think the Patriots would fall in love with him pretty quick. So I would love Brian Branch to the Patriots. The Rams are, oh my goodness. The Rams are going to trade their next 3 picks for Myles Garrett. I don't buy that for a minute. If Hendon Hooker was healthy, Crater, I got you. If Hendon Hooker was healthy, he'd go top 10. Somebody asked, I want to say, Daniel Jeremiah about that in an interview, and DJ said he thinks he would be a top 15 pick. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with DJ, and he would probably be a top 15 pick. So, I think he would be a top 15 pick. So, top 10, I don't know about, but top 15 probably for sure. As the draft is counting down, I want my Bears to get Carter if he's available. Understandable, man. You guys got a lot of draft capital in the future, and why not go for it? I mean, truly, why not go for it? I know it's a risk, obviously, but how many times do you have a chance to get a talent like Jalen Carter? You don't. I mean, it's especially at 9, especially after trading back and still getting all the picks. I mean, that's almost out of the movie Draft Day. Ironically enough, as it is Draft Day. But it's almost out of the movie there. Patriots take Bijan. I don't see that. I don't think so. Texans drafting Will Anderson at 2. I agree. I agree. That's actually what we have in the mock here. If Vikings don't get their guy, a quarterback in round 1, they will call for Lance. I'm sure. I think they will. And actually, John Lynch, I want to say in an interview recently or in something, he said the market wasn't all that hot for Lance, which I thought was kind of weird. I thought he just straight up say that, there hasn't been that many calls about Trey Lance. I thought he would have been like, we fielded a decent amount of offers or whatever, but I don't know. So if the Vikings can't move up to get Anthony Richardson, Trey Lance could very well come home. Trey Lance went to high school in Minnesota. He's from Minnesota, so Trey Lance could very easily come home. So, who will the Saints get? I want Kancey. I don't think Kancey will be there for them, unfortunately. Let's see. Cowboys going to have the best night tonight. Good luck. Atlanta. Oh, shoot. I might have messed this mock up. Not paying attention. I might have. Yeah, so good. Let's see. Tua, you were right, by the way. I'm not used to having Tyree Wilson fall this far down the board, so that's on me. I did this again last night. That's actually on me. PFF recently redid their board, and they have Tyree Wilson. That's on me. They would not. So good catch. Good catch, by the way. Thoughts? Let's keep it going here. Thoughts on if Jalen Carter falls, I could see it very easily. Very easily could see it. Lamar 49ers. No, I'm not buying that at all. I actually am not. No. Let's see here. Put him at 9 to the Bears. We're at pick 19, so I think this would kind of be. If he's there, the Bucs would definitely take him. He would definitely take him. Where do I think D-Hop's landing? I think it's going to be Buffalo, Kansas City, or Baltimore. I can't imagine it's not one of those 3 spots. And for Arizona, you get him out of conference, although it really doesn't matter for the Cardinals at this point. But let's see. We have an NFL player in the chat, Amon-Ra St. Brown, asking, should the Lions take Carter at 6 if he's available? Obviously, I know that's not the real Amon-Ra St. Brown. It'd be cool if it was. But anyway, Amon-Ra, to answer your question, yes, I think they should. Will they? I don't think they will. I think they're in love with Devin Witherspoon, the corner from Illinois. Cardinals trade Kyler Murray and get Caleb Williams next year. That is the route I think they're going to go. I think that's where they're going to end up going. Do I think any teams should trade up or down. Of course. Yeah, absolutely, man. Of course. I think the Steelers have a good chance of trading up to pick 8 or 9 to get the tackle of their future. Thanks for the content. Great to see you grow the channel. Appreciate it, brother. Am I live streaming the draft? So, no, not tonight. I might live stream the second and third rounds. Honestly, guys, like, there's a couple things. There's so much, like, going on the first night of the draft, just with everything, right? Just with the NFL, with PFF, The Athletic, everybody has their own show. So it's like, I don't know how many people would, come to the football analysis draft chat. I mean, it'd be cool if you guys did, but I just also am spending time with family, that too. So we have a draft party and a couple friends coming over, so can't wait for that. So just some quality time to spend with friends and family, and I will probably do the second and third round, but not the first. How would I rate this class out of 10? Like probably a 5. There's a couple blue chip players, but everybody has their issues. Like, if you look at the top talent, Bryce Young, size, Bijan Robinson, positional value, Jalen Carter, off the field, Will Anderson, is he really a blue chip level talent? So there's something on everybody at the top. So kind of answer that. What could the Vikings do to move up to get Anthony Richardson? The best case for them is that he slides to like pick 7 or 8, and then they go up and get him then. But if they have to trade up to pick 3, that's a tall task that I don't think they would be able to. I don't think they'd be able to do. This class at least feels better than last year. At some positions, certainly. Quarterback, of course, being one. I think that's a big reason why people probably think that. But receiver, definitely not. Definitely not. Running back, no, as well. So, no, I actually prefer last year's class, honestly. The quarterbacks were pretty disappointing last year, though, just in terms of from a draft standpoint. I know Brock Purdy worked out, and Kenny was good, but the mid-round guy, there was a point where like Matt Corral, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, people were projecting them, just trying to insert them into mock drafts, where that clearly just wasn't the case when they slid all the way to the third round. They'll trade Hunter 23 and 3 future firsts. Okay, so a player and a couple of I would not want to trade Daniil and 2 future ones. You said 3 future ones. I'm assuming you meant just 24 and 25. I would not want to trade a first round pick all the way in 2026 personally, but all right, let's see here. What do you think the Cardinals would get if they trade their third pick? It's, of course, going to depend on who wants to come up. But if it's somebody like the Vikings, they could. I mean, they would. It would be like, hey, here's multiple first round picks. Like this is the cost. And if you don't want it, then we'll just take whoever's available. And good luck, because the Colts might take Anthony Richardson. So it's not as simple as just like, here's what, it depends on the team. It's not as simple as boom, boom, boom. Justin says, bro, draft AR at all costs. I'm with you. I'm 100% with you on that. Love the channel. Keep up the great work. Appreciate it, Milo. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Any Hall of Fame players coming from this draft? Yeah, let's Anthony Richardson, Vikings, Hall of Fame, no bias. No. Honestly, you can't say that about any draft, man. The talent, I'll say this, the talent is, I mean, Bijan's been compared to Hall of Famers for a reason, so the talent is there. The biggest thing for him is, of course, staying healthy. And, that position is difficult to make the Hall of Fame because you have to have the longevity. So that's a whole thing. And Jalen Carter, the same thing. The talent is there for him to be. Jalen Carter could be a 6 or 7 time Pro Bowler, and the talent's there, but how is that going to translate? How is the character part going to translate? So that's a whole thing. Let's see here. Would Levis go higher than AR? I don't think Levis will, personally. Colts go Levis, Vikes draft Richardson or Stroud. I'm all for that, Dean. I'm all for that. Did I see Schrager's mock draft? What? Hold on. Bijan. Okay, what is he talking about here? Let's go to Schrager's. Let's go to Peter Schrager's mock draft. Here it is. He said Bijan and Hooker in round 1 to Minnesota. So I don't understand, where are we getting this? Bijan at 20. Wow. Okay, that's okay. So I gotta be honest. I thought the comment was like full of shit, and I was like, "There's no way." Like that would be interesting. That's. I mean, if that happened, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's go. Like I'd be all hyped up. I wouldn't be too hyped up on Hendon. I'd be hyped as hell about Bijan, of course. But no, that would be insane, man. If we actually could somehow, some way pull that off. Let's see. What is he? This is actually the first look, so this is kind of like a raw glance at this. By the way, I've seen other YouTubers have people that will like live react to mocks, and I've thought about bringing that to the channel. Let me know if that's something you guys would like to see. I've thought about doing that, but that's not content that I've done in the past, but I've thought about it. You know, like Daniel Jeremiah's first mock draft. Let's have a live reaction video. I've thought about it, but hot take: Will Levis is very overrated. I honestly don't think that's that hot of a take, personally. I'm not a Will Levis fan. Just give me content, says Joey. Appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, Amon Ra is back commenting. Amon Ra says, I hope Bijan doesn't go to any NFC North teams. He would be a pain to deal with. Yeah, Amon Ra, that's actually exactly how I feel about a lot of the Lions picks. Like, oh, hey, I don't want Justin Jefferson to play Devin Witherspoon twice a year. Or I don't want to deal with Myles Murphy coming off the edge along with Aiden Hutchinson and then Aleem McNeil in the middle. I really don't want to deal with that. I get where you're coming from. Let's see, and the Packers, Jackson Smith-Njigba. I really don't want to deal with that either. So I get where you're coming from, Amon Ra. Amon Ra, to be honest, I don't even want to deal with you twice here. Like, you're that good of a player. Like, it's frustrating dealing with you. So I get where you're coming from. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on A.T. Perry? Developmental guy. Not the biggest A.T. Perry fan. A lot of people will, whenever there's like a height, big guy like that, people are like, oh, this guy might be the next, and then it's usually an insanely lofty comparison that just has no chance of working out. Like, A.T. Perry could be the next Mike Evans, and you have a higher chance of being the next Hakeem Butler than you do Mike Evans. So if it works out for A.T., I hope it does. And for any player that I doubt in the pre-draft process, like Tanner McKee, for example, I want them to prove me wrong. But there were a lot of concerns with A.T. Perry, like drops, for example. So NFC North banner is great. Oh, it is. I by the way, if you guys want to follow on Twitter, the link is in the bio. I always banner with Packers fans all the time. I always banner with them. And then whenever they reply to any tweet that I have about the Vikings, and whenever they reply with no championships, no Super Bowls, I usually just reply back with "oh, reliable," because it's like, I really didn't know that. Thank you for providing me with that knowledge that I was not previously aware of. So yeah, I always banter with Packers fans on Twitter all the time. Opinion. Here's a perfect example. Amon Ra asks opinion on Rodgers being gone. I am so happy for Aaron to finally achieve happiness. I'm so glad that Aaron is finally happy and he's got what he wanted. So I'm really glad to see Aaron, be a happier individual now. Is this Cousins' last season in Minnesota? Yes, I think it is. It's 6 years. It's been, we have one playoff win in the Kirk era. How long does this go on? Do we let it go on another couple of years just to be like, all right, maybe we'll get the second playoff win? So yeah, I think it's gonna be his final year. Let's see. Stroud stuff was, let's see here, because of Josh McCown, the NFL asked teams to hide it for the betting markets. That's something, Carson. That is something. Somebody said, have I ever had banter with Tom Grossi? I have not, honestly. I gotta be honest, I don't think Tom knows who I am. I'd be extremely surprised if Tom had any idea of who I am. I just don't know. So to answer the question, I've actually, I've never had banter with Tom Grossi. But if he wanted to come on the channel, or if he wanted to invite me on the channel, I'd welcome it. I would love to discuss with him. And discuss, Justin Jefferson going for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns last year in Week 1 against the Packers. But to answer that question, I have not bantered with Tom Grossi before. We need Kirk O'Chains, not Kirk Cousins, but you never know who's going to show up, and that's the thing. So that's kind of another thing. If Kirk shows up like he did in the playoffs, I know the last play obviously doesn't help Kirk's case, but Kirk played very well. The defense just gave up 31 points to Daniel Jones, but you never know. Thoughts on Emmanuel Forbes? I like him quite a bit. The pick six machine. I like him quite a bit, and there's been a lot of rumors about him moving up, or him being a first round pick. Let's see here. Vikings fan thinks he's funny, but it's okay. Jordan Love winning 3 championships. Okay, Nate's a Packers fan, I'm pretty sure, if that's kind of what I got from that. Nate, can you remind me quickly, if you are a Packers fan indeed, how many Super Bowls do the Vikings have? Because I myself am not aware. I would love for you to explain that one to me. I don't actually know the Vikings history, so if you could tell me how many we have, please let me know. Van Ness to the Patriots would low-key be an A+. It would also be a very Patriots pick, and I mean that in the best way. So I could definitely see the Patriots taking Lucas Van Ness. Thoughts on the Bills taking a receiver? I don't think they're going to take one because I think they're going to have in the back of their pockets that, like, hey, we might trade for DeAndre Hopkins. So I don't think they're going to take one in the first round. They could take one last year like they did with Khalil Shakir in the 5th round, and Khalil had a bit of an increased role down the stretch of the season, but I don't think the Bills are going to take a receiver in round 1. I think they're more likely to go with the trenches. Let's see. Joseph asks, who is the player you are most excited about this draft and looking forward to see in the NFL? So my favorite player in this class, favorite is, of course, different from best, but I would say my favorite player in this class, it could very easily change to Anthony Richardson if we draft him, of course. But right now, it is my favorite player in the pre-draft process was B.J. Ojulari, edge, LSU. I think there's so much to like about his game, and the fact that he could slide out of the first round is crazy to me. There's so much to like about BJ's game. He's only 20 years old. He's a younger prospect. He's going to get stronger as the years go on. And by the time BJ's in year 4 of the rookie scale contract, I think he's going to be a 10 or 11 sack player at minimum. I like B.J. Ojulari quite a bit. So, let's see here. What's the worst draft scenario for your Vikings? If we trade multiple firsts to go up and get Will Levis, I would hate that. I don't see any way that that's a positive scenario for the Vikings. He's already 24 years, or he will be 24 years old. I would personally hate that scenario for them. So, I think that's a pretty bad one for the Vikings. Do I think the Ravens could use Lamar to trade up to potentially get Anthony Richardson? No. And Lamar is going to stay a Raven. He's staying a Raven. Like, he's not going to be moved. They're going to work something out. He's not going to go anywhere tonight. Skull Vikings, absolutely. No, so, yeah, Lamar's not going anywhere. Vikings should trade all their picks. Detroit fan, yeah, maybe we should follow the strategy you guys have. Acquire more next year. No, I'm scared of the Lions this year, man. They're going to be such a good team. C-Dub says, bear down. Watch the Vikings trade out of the first. All of this hype and news that will trade up. I wouldn't be disappointed with that because we don't have a second-round pick because of the T.J. Hawkinson trade. So, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'd actually be kind of surprised if we stay at pick 23, and I just think we're going to move up to like pick anywhere from 3 to 7, or I think we're going to completely trade out of the first round. Lorenzo No Bias says, as a Panthers, we're taking the NFC South with Bryce. Good luck. By the way, the Jags, Brian Branch. The Jags' darling is Brian Branch. Kirby Joseph owns Rodgers. Yeah, he had a good game against him. Multiple interceptions in the Week 18 loss. I very much enjoyed that. I very much enjoyed watching that game. So, let's see here. Hawk worth a second. No, I 100% agree. But when you get to draft night and you don't have a second round pick, it's kind of like, oof, like we got a gap from 23 to 87. That's a very large gap. So while I agree that Hawkinson is most definitely worth a second round pick, it's just once you actually get here, it's kind of like, whoa, like we got a lot of holes, a lot of things to shore up, and now we only have, we don't have a second round pick. By the way, Evie, appreciate the $5. Appreciate it very much here. I want to pin this. How do I pin this here? Let's see. Oh, I can't pin the comment. Anyway, would you be okay with the Vikings giving up a haul for a top 3 pick? And how much do you think it'll cost? So, appreciate the super chat, of course. And, yes, I would 100% be okay with it. I would love it. And, I'm 24, and if you go through my, quarterbacks as a Vikings fan, it's not great. Like, it's not a great list of quarterbacks. Gus Frerotte, Brad Johnson, Tavares Jackson, may he rest in peace. Brooks Bollinger, this is back in like the 06 to 08 area. Then Brett Favre for a couple years. Donovan McNabb for a year. Christian Ponder was, of course, terrible. Matt Castle, Teddy Bridgewater, Sean Hill, Sam Bradford, Case Keenum was good for a year, and then Kirk. So it's not. I mean, aside from Kirk, of course, who's had multiple Pro Bowls, and then Brett Favre for a year, it hasn't been good. So I'm very much under the belief now that if you want to win a Super Bowl, which for any Packers fans watching, we don't have any. If you want to go ahead and remind me of that. I'm very much under the belief that you have to go up and you have to get your guy. Whatever that costs, you have to get it. The Panthers paid it, and we'll see if that works out for them. But they went up and got their guy. I also like the Panthers roster quite a bit. I trust KOC to find the guy. I do too. I do too. Julius Brents to the Vikings. I don't think that's going to happen in the first round. I would very much love it. Hold on, Rappaport just tweeted something. He said, if Anthony Richardson falls, we pinpointed okay, never mind. That's something we all know. There it is. Sunken Stew says, no Super Bowls, LOL. Appreciate it. I wasn't aware. But like I said, Evie, appreciate the super chat very much. Do you think there's any chance the Cowboys trade out of the first? Yes, I do. I definitely do. What is my favorite college football team? Good question. I'm a Penn State fan. So, like I said, I live in Maryland, so I went to a Penn State game when I was younger, and I was just like, the atmosphere there is unreal on game day, and I kind of just have been supporting them ever since. So, a lot of Penn State guys in this, well, not actually a lot. There's a couple Penn State guys in this draft. Joey Porter Jr., loved him. I think he compares to Xavier Rhodes, like a Xavier Rhodes light. And of course, there's a receiver that a lot of people like as their sleeper receiver in the class, and that is, of course, Parker Washington. I like Parker quite a bit. So, yeah, there's a couple good prospects coming from Penn State. And of course, Juice Scruggs from the offensive line as well. Like him too. Amon Ra St. Brown asks, which team will have, what do you think will have the worst record next season? I've actually been on this since I released this video a couple months ago. The Arizona Cardinals. I would be so surprised if they do not have the worst record in the NFL next year. They are just awful. And I'm really sorry. Like, I'm really sorry to just completely just dog the Cardinals. But here's one thing that I'm going to pull something up here in a second here. Somebody said just subbed. I'm going to properly thank that individual. B&G Knights, appreciate the support as always. Always appreciate it, guys. So I'm going to pull this up on screen here, right? Let's go ahead and pull this over here, all right? I'm pulling this over. Sorry, I have the couple screens here. All right, let's go ahead and pull this up, right? Let's just take a look here. I mean, this roster, DeAndre Hopkins is you might as well say gone. And Budda Baker, you could say, even if he's not gone, it's not like they're good. I mean, look at this team, guys, and tell me how many wins you think they realistically get. Brenton Strange is also a good tight end for Penn State, by the way, for anybody that said that, or that's going to be in the draft. So Lundar, that's a funny question. Does Porter act like he's got a broken limb every time he gets beat? Shout out 2018 Xavier Rhodes. No, that was something, man. That was something when Say used to do that. Let's see here. Let's see. Penn State is a good quarterback. He's better than Clifford. Yeah, no, Drew Aller he's awesome. I love Drew Aller. Can't believe Arizona went to the playoffs a year ago. Neither can I, man. Neither can I. What do you think Minnesota does to get their future quarterback? Thoughts on Trey Lance? If they trade up, like multiple first-round picks, it's got to be for Anthony Richardson or C.J. Stroud. I can't imagine you trade up 3 first-round picks to go get Will Levis. I really try to work on like my live reactions and not like scream at the TV like you see videos of that, and I really try not to. But if we trade 3 first-round picks to go get Will Levis, I would be like, are you shitting me? Language, by the way. But I would be like, are you shitting me? Anyway, here. Who do I think will be the biggest steal? That's a tough one, man. I can't answer that right now, and I hate to just, kind of cop out, but somebody unexpectedly is going to fall. It's just somebody. It happens every year for whatever reason, usually injury-related. Nakobe Dean last year fell to the 3rd round. I would have been fine with my team taking him in the 1st round, but he fell to the 3rd. So I hope it doesn't happen, but just with the NFL draft and the way that it goes, somebody is going to fall. And I don't know who that's going to be tonight. Nobody does at this point in time. Nobody knows who that's going to be. Is Rattler going to be a late first next year? I would personally be very surprised by that. Also, Scott as well. Scott said, just subbed, appreciate it. Appreciate the subscription, brother. Appreciate it. Can't imagine a linebacker not being drafted in round 1 just because. Yeah, well, Nakobe was... I don't know if you're referring to Nakobe here, but it was because of the injury. So, or the worry about that. That's what that was for. I also, by the way, a pick that I actually like quite a bit is Michael Mayer to the Cowboys. There's a good chance that Cincy drafts him at 28, but I wouldn't be upset if the Cowboys selected him at 26 either. Dalton Schultz went to the Texans, and you replace that hole with a very good tight end, and you'd be looking at wide receiver probably 4 or 5 at this point versus Michael Mayer. Somebody did comment earlier that they will, since he does not have Hayden Hurst. Hold on. Let me confirm this here. I'm pretty sure Hayden Hurst. I want to say Hayden Hurst went to the Panthers. I'm like 99% sure that Hayden Hurst is not. Yeah, Hayden Hurst went to the Panthers. They signed Irv Smith. Irv Smith went from the Vikings to the Bengals. Hurst went from the Bengals to the Panthers. But no, I'd rather draft Michael Mayer than I would like wide receiver 4 or 5 personally. Let's see here. Does Zach Wilson get traded? No. Zach Wilson does not get traded. What should the Chiefs do with their first round pick? I've said this a couple times. It's obviously going to depend how the board plays out for them. But it's going to... I think they should go wide receiver or pass rusher. And I really, really hope they go with B.J. Ojulari in the first round. I would just be ecstatic if they did that. Running backs need to get paid better in their first contract. I 100% agree. I 100% agree with you there, man. Let's hear. Which division do you think will be the toughest this upcoming season? I'd probably say the AFC West. It's probably the AFC West or AFC North. It's going to depend on how both Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson play, to answer that one. The Raiders are kind of, they're kind of just, the downfall of the West, but that would depend on that. I got to go. See you later for the post-draft. Yeah, appreciate it, Sunken. And by the way, Sunken, it's going to be a video. It's not going to be a live stream. It's going to be a video. Let's see here. Maybe Jim Irsay now knows what a sausage is made out of. The tears of Andrew Luck's retirement. How did a sausage get in? Anyway, I don't know. I don't understand how a sausage got in that part. Thoughts on Tariq Woolen? I like Tariq Woolen a lot. Opinion on Kayshon Boutte? I got to be honest, I'm out on Kayshon Boutte. I hope he becomes a good receiver, but just there was a lot this year with just the off-the-field things, and I expected him to take a big step. He never did. I'm out on Kayshon Boutte. If he becomes a good player, I'm happy for him, and I want him to succeed, but I'm personally out on Kayshon. I'm not buying in on Kayshon Boutte at this point. Let's see here. All right, the East Division is going to be tough next season for sure. Definitely. They definitely will be. But thoughts on Eli Ricks? Oh, I love Eli. Eli is one of my favorite prospects in the draft. Favorite is, of course, different from best, but I love Eli. I think he's going to be a several-year starter. Maybe not, I mean, he's not going to be like a, all-pro level starter, but I like Eli Ricks quite a bit. But, guys, that is actually going to wrap up the live stream. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. We've been live for almost an hour and 15 minutes. Love the Q&As. And by the way, throughout the off season, like June and July, we're going to be live more. The content is, of course, going to slow down a little bit. So, of course, with the off season getting here, but I recommend checking out the Patreon, check out the Discord. I'm pretty active in the Discord. So Patreon, Twitter, Discord, all of the links are in the description. Appreciate everyone who came through, guys. And yeah, I will catch you guys tonight. So until then, guys, be safe. Have a great rest of your day. Draft day, baby. Let's go. And I'll see you guys tonight. Love you guys.